You ever have one of those weeks where the universe seems dead set on testing just how much you can take before you snap? Yeah, that was me the day Pamela Greer stood on my lawn in her spotless white suit, staring at my old boat like it was a dead possum I'd dragged out for everyone to see. I still remember the smirk on her face as she waved a violation sign at me, her voice all saccharine. Poison. This boat's an eyesore, Mr. Braddock. Move it, or we'll put a lien on your house. That was the same boat, Hope Floats, my late wife Sarah named back when life was a little kinder and we both still believed a lake was meant for peace, not power trips. The same little boat we'd escaped to when the world got too loud, back when chemo was still a word we whispered. They didn't just find me. They made a show of it, slapping notices on my dock, turning neighbors into spies, trying to make me out to be some kind of blight. All the while, they had no idea the only reason that boat meant so much to me was because it was the last thing Sarah touched. But hey, if they wanted a fight, I'd give them one. What they didn't know, what nobody bothered to check, was that the whole time they were playing little dictators, the real deed for that lake sat buried in the county archives, forgotten by everyone but a guy like me who knows how to dig for the truth. You want to know where you're watching from? Drop it in the comments, because this ride's just kicking off. And if you believe folks ought to be left in peace, hit that subscribe button, because you're about to see what happens when a petty HOA meets a stubborn Navy engineer with nothing left to lose. Every time I started Hope Floats, I swear I could hear Sarah laughing, like she was right there beside me, wrapped in her old blanket, watching the sun flicker on the water. It wasn't much, that boat, but it was ours, built like a tank, slow as molasses, and full of the kind of order only a Navy man could love. After she was gone, painting her name on the transom felt like keeping a promise. Hope Floats, in the same neat block letters she used for her garden markers. That's what grief does, you know. Turns ordinary things into anchors. So when I saw Pamela's SUV parked all smug at the end of my drive, I already knew what was coming. She started her speech about bylaws and visual uniformity. Never mind the fact her so-called common area was 100 yards away and half hidden by pines. She didn't care. She just wanted control. The thing about people like Pamela, they get real uncomfortable with silence. So I just let her talk herself into circles, clipboard shaking a little more each time I didn't bite. She quoted bylaws that didn't exist, threatened fines, talked about property values, all while standing on grass my wife and I had cut for 20 years. I'll look into it, I said, mostly to end the show. She left ruts in my lawn with her fancy heels. Back inside, I pulled out the HOA covenants. 30 pages about mailboxes and fences, not a word about boats. She'd made it all up. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. I tried emailing. Nothing. Next morning, certified letter. Fine retroactive to the day I docked Hope Floats. Already over $2,000. And if I didn't pay, they'd put a lien on my home. All for a boat. I stood on the dock for a long time, letter balled up in my fist, watching the sunset Sarah used to love. That's when I got real clear. Same feeling I'd get before a salvage dive, just before the mission starts. You picked the wrong man's lake, Pamela. She didn't let up. Neighbor Roy called me, voice full of warning. You better check your email. Pamela had sent out a bulletin, anonymous photo of my boat. Talk of integrity and property values. She didn't use my name, just Lot 18. It was classic. Isolate, shame, threaten. The friendly waves stopped. Neighbors started avoiding eye contact. Not their fight, I get it. Most folks keep their heads down, especially after seeing her fine old Mr. Tate for having a 2-inch too tall garden gnome, or force the Carsons to repaint their house for being the wrong shade of beige. That night, my daughter Maya called. Dad, please just sell the boat. It's not worth it. She meant well, but to her, the boat was just a thing. To me, it was memory. It was Sarah. It's not about the boat, I told her, as gentle as I could. It's about not letting bullies win. Silence. Be careful, she finally said. House felt colder after we hung up. That was when I decided, I'm not playing by her rules. I dug through the deeds, called the State Water Commission, started asking questions about riparian rights. After some bureaucratic shuffling, I got to a clerk who actually checked. Turns out the lake wasn't even owned by the HOA or the county. It belonged to a development company that had dissolved years ago. Their assets, including the lake bed, were supposed to go to the county, but the paperwork had never been filed. The lake was a legal ghost. Next morning, I found violation signs zip-tied to my dock. Big red letters for everyone to see. That afternoon, a stranger drove by snapping photos. Intimidation, plain and simple. But it was more than that. It was about power, control for its own sake. And I was done being quiet. See, I wasn't just a Navy engineer. I'd been a salvage diver. I know systems, and I know their weak spots are always below the surface. Pamela built her power on fake rules and fear. I started building mine with paperwork and patience. At the county records office, I found the proof. The lake bed was unclaimed, and by state law, I could file for ownership. My attorney loved it. A legal house of cards just waiting to fall. We posted a public notice, buried in the classifieds, just like the law required, while the HOA kept sending fines and edited videos of me being aggressive around my yard. Yeah, she really tried to paint me as a sovereign citizen. I worked in silence. Even when they cost Maya a job promotion, her boss wouldn't say it. But we both knew Pamela had pulled strings. I held my ground. I nearly caved then, nearly gave in to guilt. But that call from the county attorney changed everything. The lake was mine. All of it. Under a private trust with Sarah's initials. 30 acres of water for less than Pamela's bogus fines. I marked the new property lines with buoys. Just looked like ordinary markers. But they drew the boundary clear as day. Then came the formal notice to the HOA. The lake was private property now. Every dock, every pump, every fixture was trespassing unless I said otherwise. Roy called me laughing, said Pamela was screaming at the emergency board meeting. She tried to keep control, but when I showed up with the certified deed and told everyone where their dues had actually gone all these years, paying to maintain a lake the HOA never owned, the room turned on her. Even her own security guy wilted under a little pressure. And when a quiet veteran in the back asked, "Have you no shame?" Pamela finally broke, storming out while neighbors started a petition to remove her on the spot. But she wasn't done. 2 days later, she tried to restore the common area shoreline, really just making a mess on my land with some landscaping crew. This time, they spilled diesel into the water. I called the EPA and the sheriff. Caught the whole thing on camera. Pamela showed up, started barking orders, and when confronted, lost it completely. Shoved me right on my own dock. The deputy cuffed her right there, arrested for trespassing, environmental damage, assault, the whole works. Cleanup was expensive. The HOA had to pay the fines, wipe my record clean, and send an apology to every homeowner. Maya got her promotion back. The story went viral, a win for everyone who's ever dealt with HOA overreach. A week later, when the lake was clean and calm, Roy helped me install a bench on the dock, right where Sarah used to sit, with a plaque that just said "Hope Floats." So, yeah, that's how a stubborn widower ended up owning the whole damn lake. Not because I wanted to, but because sometimes you have to remind the world you can't bully a man off his own memories. Funny thing is, there's still a little debate in the neighborhood. Was I right to fight? Was Pamela just doing her job? Maybe you've got an opinion. Drop it below. Let's hear what you think about rules, justice, and what it means to really own a piece of peace. And if you think hope ought to float a little longer in this world, go ahead and smash that like, hit subscribe. And tell me, would you have fought back or just moved the boat?